Hello, gorgeous souls. I hope you're having a great start to your day, and wanted to jump in and talk about this particular one thing that absolutely is essential to healing exhaustion, fatigue, and burnout. And often there can be obviously compounding factors that create exhaustion and burnout in the first place. But the biggest factor is actually self-love. And until this is actually healed at a very deep level, often people will keep repeating the same habits, the same behaviors, the same coping mechanisms because they're not actually addressing the underlying issue of what's actually going on there. And if we think about the importance of self-love and why this is so important, particularly when it comes to exhaustion and burnout, is that often when we're not loving ourselves at a very deep level, or we've never learned to love ourselves, or we feel that we're not enough, we can very easily drop into people-pleasing behaviors, looking for the validation, looking for the self-worth or self-esteem through validation by others, keeps us in that perpetual cycle, and we're often punishing ourselves, self-loathing, hating ourselves, hating how we are or who we are, invalidating ourselves, invalidating our own emotions, rejecting ourselves, abandoning ourselves in order to please others. Now, at a deep fundamental level, this is actually the body trying to protect itself because it believes by fitting in, belonging, and be accepted, you're actually more safe. Now, that is true to a degree, and if you're a defenseless little child or a little baby, of course that is absolutely true. To belong to your birth family and to be, we are hardwired from our very base needs to be accepted, belong, and fit in. And this is why often it can be really difficult to let go of some of these coping mechanisms, and why self-love is actually at the root of all of this, is because when you value you, when you know your own worth, you can actually align yourself with the situations and circumstances that actually reflect your value, reflect your worth back to you. Otherwise, we end up saying yes when we really mean no, and we end up keeping on perpetuating that cycle of exhaustion. Two other things that really impact obviously exhaustion and burnout is perfectionism. And this is again a deep fear of getting it wrong, a deep fear of not getting it right, or messing up, making a mistake, a deep fear of failure. All of that has us switched onto that hypervigilance and feeling like no matter what we do, it is never enough or never good enough. And again, this depletes the endocrine system, it creates stress in the body, it makes us feel like absolute rubbish. And when we feel rubbish about ourselves, we tend to eat rubbish, we tend to talk more mind trash, and we tend to punish ourselves, meaning we don't allow ourselves to rest, we don't allow ourselves to have fun, to experience pleasure and joy in our life. If we feel that we're very wrong and bad for who we are or for how we're behaving or any of those things, we will guilt always seeks punishment. And so that can be really difficult, and we can very much end up within that victim state as well. And the other thing, hey Maureen, great to have you on. The last thing, and I just want to double check my notes to make sure I've got this correct, but also, and sorry, I was just for a moment forgetting what I actually wanted to share, was self-love is so important because the other factor is that often we reject parts of ourselves. So the parts that we've felt we've been judged the most for as a child or as an adult or at various stages within our life, we will often push away with absolute shame. So when these parts within ourselves expose themselves, and this could be when we get too emotional or what we deem as too emotional, when we feel too sensitive perhaps, when we're being perhaps lazy, or any of these things, anything that you've been judged for specifically or even shame for as a child, you will have a huge reaction in yourself when you notice those things about yourself. And that's where then we go into that reaction. We blame ourselves, we self-loathe, we self-hate, all of those things, which again massively depletes the adrenals. And we're also continuing to create fractures within our consciousness, meaning that we don't feel whole, we don't feel complete, we feel like there's something missing, it feels like we're still not enough, we have to do more. So all of these things really absolutely impact the level of exhaustion, exhaustion, the level of fatigue that we're experiencing, and just even being in that state of feeling that we're not enough is very, very draining on our physical energy system, and definitely perpetuates the feeling of burnout. And again, when we seek value or look to prove our value, to prove our worth to others, it's always being driven from that fear, and there's no amount of doing that actually fills that void or fills that hole. And that's where it becomes very draining, where we have to come back to that root cause. We have to heal the physical body, because again, the more exhausted you become, generally the more we go into that ego wounded mind, the less we feel capable, the less we feel able, the less confidence we have, the less self-worth we have. All of those things are impacted by lower hormones, and that can also be impacted specifically around perimenopause, or even going through menopause as well. As more of those hormones drop away, often it really derails our sense of confidence, our sense of self-worth, and trying to figure out who we are. So we need to heal the physical body. We also need to heal absolutely the emotional body. So our emotions absolutely make us feel lower in energy. Our thoughts drive our emotions. So when we feel that we're not good enough, or the stories that we tell, the narrative that we tell about ourselves that we're not good enough, absolutely depletes the body, as well as your connection to self, which is really your spirituality or your self-love. So knowing that you are whole, that you are complete, that you are enough as you are, and knowing that wholeheartedly from your heart, not what your ego and mind tells you, is absolutely the other key to healing this. And this is everything that we absolutely cover within my Thrive program. It is a 12-week program, and it's why my clients get such incredible and amazing results. Even by week 3 to week 4, there is a significant shift in their energy. They feel lighter, they feel more joyous, they feel more able to connect with their joy, and they're feeling like they have way more energy and feeling way more in control again. So really, really important things to consider, and definitely self-love. And if we've got unhealed trauma, those emotions are trapped within the body, and they end up manifesting as a sign of physical disease, because we have not yet healed those traumas and released those particular emotions that are trapped in the body. And often, you know, the heaviness in the body, the rigidity in the body, the feeling out of breath, all of those things absolutely can resemble a feeling of grief that is unprocessed, and absolutely impacts your physical energy every day. So if that is you, please reach out, please book your call with me. Let's have a chat, see if and how I can help you. I am off to Queensland this week to support in the flood crisis, so I have no calls left available this week, but definitely I still have some limited availability next week. I'll pop my booking link below as well, so that you can jump in and book your call to discuss where you're currently at, what is currently blocking you from healing your exhaustion and fatigue, and let's create a clear step plan of what you need to do in order to be able to get on track. And all of those calls are 100% complimentary, and we can see if and how I might be able to help you on those. Have an amazing rest of your day. Lots of love to you. Bye for now.